Right.
Hi, I'm Raiden Greer, and this is Raiden Greer and Johnny Brannon on the Rock City Film Festival, upcoming the weekend of May 17th, 16th even, and 18th in Little Rock, Arkansas. Johnny, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great. I've got a peppermint in my mouth.
That's good. That's okay though. We can do anything we want to do.
So Johnny, why don't you tell me about the third short film that you ever did?
So this is so funny because I was going to mention this. Mm-hmm. So Raid and I go way back, and back in I think it was 2011, fall of 2011, I saw a casting call go out at UCA, and it was for a film called Still Life, and I auditioned for it, and I got cast in it, and you was in it.
I was in it.
You was in it. This is 2011. This is a long, long time ago, and that was where you and I first met.
Yeah.
And I will say this, and I've spoke many people about you over the years about working with you, and just following your career. Like even whenever we did Still Alive, because I was new at this, and I always like to get to know people I'm working with, and so in between takes, I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And like, I'm Raiden, and I'm Johnny, and we did that. And then I was like, "So have you done anything before?" And you're like, "Yeah, I just came back from New Orleans and worked on a film with Forrest Whitaker and Robert De Niro," and I was just like,
well, you wouldn't expect someone to say that on set of any UCA student film, probably. So
No.
I would say that was unusual overall.
But I was just like, whoa. Yeah, at that time, I had, I did Still Life, and a couple of days later, did 45 RPM. And I was still getting to know people and still new at all this. But it was just fascinating to hear that. Of course, I was locked in. I was like, whoa, how did that happen? Because how do you get there? And so, so from there, we stayed friends. And we had, every once in a while, would communicate through Facebook and stuff, but I've always followed like where you went after here. So acting, has that always been like the first passion?
I actually wanted to be a singer when I was a kid, and I do sing. And people ask me sometimes if I sing, and I say, yeah, but I don't ever do it. And I also played guitar, I played piano, and I really thought that was going to be my calling. But I feel like that's kind of common too. Like creative people, are usually multidisciplinary. And I kind of started doing acting just as like the second thing that I wanted to do. And it started working. It was like I was just getting yes after yes after yes as soon as I started. So then I started to think, I guess I'm like pretty good at this, and I'll keep following this path. And it's really fun. And it's a really good paying job when you get it. So it was like, it's like addictive, once you're doing it and it's so much fun, you want to keep doing it. So at this point in my life, I do think that acting is still a passion of mine, definitely. And I think that I still know how to do it pretty well. In fact, I think at this point in my life, I've been doing it for, like you said, at least since then, and even before then. So over 15 years. And I think that at this point, I'm better than I've ever been in my life. But I think when I started acting, I had something about me that was just like raw, that I maybe don't have as much of anymore. But I learned through my career that life experience informs your performance in a very big way. And also training, in addition to just raw talent, changes things in a big way too. So I started out with just raw talent, and then I went off and got a little bit of training too, and I've had a little bit more life experience. So I feel like right now I'm like at the peak of my abilities.
It's so, I mean, everything you just said, I totally get that. And I think the older that we get, because gosh, I come from theater, did theater first, and I worked with like a lot of weekend theater actors, and it was just all these guys had just done these powerhouse plays that was just off Broadway social awareness, like the deep and the dark and the disturbing type shows. And I was like, this is my place. And that's where I felt like because as someone who came from Fort Smith and had done, little community theater up there and, incredible people, but just, it was just, Neil Simon plays and stuff like that. And so coming down here and then doing some of the things and seeing the shows, I was just blown away. And I felt that, also at the same time, we didn't have any acting classes here in Little Rock. And I think that's one thing that's really what we were really missing. Now you teach an acting class, which is fantastic. And we'll talk about all this. And that's where I kind of want to lead into is that you left here. And so you grew up here in Arkansas.
Yeah.
And when did you think like, I got to go now? Like, this is probably the time I should go.
Well, I was auditioning even when I was in high school. I was auditioning for projects that were shooting in Louisiana. So in Shreveport, in Baton Rouge, New Orleans. And then the first couple of movies that I booked, well, after high school, I went to college. I went to Arkansas Tech for 4 years and I stopped acting because my parents insisted that I needed to get a degree in something. So I wasn't just out here floating around trying to do some like artistic lifestyle, which is what I ended up doing anyway. But so for those 4 years, I wasn't really doing anything. But as soon as I graduated, I started auditioning again. And then I booked a couple of jobs in Louisiana. And I realized that I could get more work if I lived in Louisiana. So I had to do it. And I moved to Baton Rouge. And then I worked a lot in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And then from the work I did there, an agency and a manager and a PR firm reached out to me in New York. And so I moved to New York, I signed with them, and I started auditioning there. And part of what my manager wanted me to do when I got to New York was to take classes with Anthony Abeson, this teacher in New York. And I went to the class, and I was like the most experienced person in the class. I had more credits than everybody else in the class. And so I kind of thought, I don't belong in here. I don't really need this. I'm doing fine already. Like, it's expensive to live in New York, and I'm kind of like just flushing my money down the toilet, just sitting in this class. And then I left class, and then I was like, not at the level. I realized only after I failed that I was not at the level that I needed to be because I didn't have that training. And in New York, it's like the most competitive market there is for acting. Everybody there has trained at Juilliard or some conservatory, or, when I'm going into the room and this was back in the day when you went into the room and there was a sign-in sheet and I would go sign in and all the other actors were represented by CAA or William Morris or Gersh or Paradigm, all the big agencies. And so it was like a very high level of competition that I had never been thrown into before. So where in Louisiana, it was pretty easy for me to just come in, especially at that time. There weren't as many actors back then. At that time, it was pretty easy for me to just go in and book, a lot of work. And then I went to New York and I was reading for lead roles in movies and like the lead of a pilot for HBO, and everybody's extremely, extremely talented and like at the top of their game. So after I didn't book anything major in the first year, they all dropped me. My agent, my manager, the PR firm, everybody dropped me. And I was devastated. And I came back to Arkansas and I was like, I don't know what to do. This really sucks. I'll probably never get a good agent again. And then my friend from New York was like, what are you doing? You can't just sit in Arkansas. Get your ass back up here. And I was like, what am I going to do? And she was like, I don't know. Just stay on my couch and like figure it out. And I was like, you're right. Like, I can't just give up and quit. So I went back to New York and I begged my teacher to let me back in class. And he, of course, welcomed me to come back to class. And then everything changed for me mentally and as an actor after that.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing to hear that. And I think that's one of the great things, especially I hadn't seen you in forever, and then of course, I followed your career. Like I knew exactly what you were doing, and you probably didn't even know.
You
that.
knew exactly what I was
exactly
doing.
what you was doing.
You knew where I was at all times.
I knew you was working on all this movie, but that's because I'm a nerd like that, and I'm gonna say semi-historian maybe around here because I could tell you like Wes Bentley did theater at the Weekend Theater before and I know his brother Jamie, and we almost did a couple of shows, and then now the Canner Day and all this stuff, and so everybody like whenever I was such a fan, and we became good friends. I thought we were good friends. But because I was cheering you on from afar, and because you are from here and we worked together and it was pleasant. I enjoyed working with you on Still Life, and so anybody I work with that I've gotten along with and who's doing great things, I'm just like I'm over here, but if there's anything you ever need and whatever I can do, whatever, holler, don't hesitate.
So are you trying to say there are people that you've worked with that you didn't enjoy working with?
I've every person I've worked with so far, I've really, really enjoyed. I had one actor one time trying to direct me once though, and that didn't go too well.
What did they say?
Well, we were doing a movie that never got put out. It was a local short film, and he had worked on some things, and he was trying to. I mean, I had my character down, and he was like, "I think maybe you should try this." And I'm like, "What'd you say?" And he was like, "Oh no, never mind." And he was older than me, and so director came over there, and I went over and talked to him. I said, "Hey, listen, he's kind of crossing this line here," and I said, "If you don't mind, we could let's just nip this in the bud right now because you're the director." And so that's a big pet peeve is actors directing actors, and don't do it out there, and because it's not anybody's job. You've got a director for a reason. So that's the only time I've ever had a. But he's fine. I mean, we get along. I mean, I haven't seen him really since, but we've chatted on Facebook, and we're fine. We're fine. I don't know, a couple of people out there that I'm just like you kind of burnt that bridge, but no. But it was just seeing the thing. I mean, the projects you were working on, phenomenal projects, and I wish I could remember it. There was you had done. With Stephen Dorff, American Hero. American Hero.
It is confusing because I was on American Horror Story and I was on this movie called American Hero. So people don't know sometimes the difference.
I don't know if it was on Twitter or back when it was Twitter, something, and I made a comment and he saw it. And you texted, or you sent me a message. I was like, Stephen, it made you laugh because he kind of got a little ruffled or something. But yeah.
He replied to you something.
No,
said?
to you. You said you said it was funny because it was.
Wait, I do remember something like this.
And he got a little his feathers ruffled or something, and you thought it was funny. And I remember you told me that, or you said something like that. But anyway,
I can't remember the details, but yeah.
Yeah, it's. But that's the thing, though, is that you played his sister.
Yeah, even though he's not even close to my age, really.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
But he looks pretty young.
He does.
And I had a really good time on that movie because that director the director is a British guy named Nick Love, and he let us do a lot of improvisation, and Eddie Griffin was in that movie too. And just seeing like the things that they were doing, they were like, especially Steven was like in character all the time. So like when they were setting up the camera, he would be like talking about stuff and like playing the piano because there was a piano in the house that was supposed to be our house. And he would like ride his bicycle everywhere. Like everyone else, the cast would get on the van to go to lunch and he would ride his bicycle. Like, and we were in this like really, like downtrodden neighborhood, like outside of New Orleans. And he was like, no, I'm going to ride my bike. And he was just with no shirt on riding his bicycle over to lunch. And he had like a gold tooth, so he was in character. And that was a really good time. Even though I don't know if anybody saw that movie. I thought it was pretty good.
I did too. Let's shift gears here for a second. And now you're directing. Mm-hmm. And you got Little Bit. Mm-hmm. It was a fantastic short doc. It's, for one, I want to hear how you
Mm-hmm.
what made you decide to get behind the camera? And because this isn't your first film that you've directed, right?
It's my third, a little bit was my second film, second documentary. And then last year I made a narrative short that hasn't come out yet. And I'm in pre-production on my next narrative short that I'm shooting in 2 weeks.
Yes, all those things. So tell me about a little bit. How did that story come about?
Well, I made a documentary before that, The Hill We Climb, which was also in your festival. And that was like a half-hour documentary that was really hard-hitting about a really complicated, serious subject. And I wanted to do something like, because that was really hard. Making that was really hard. And it was the first film that I made completely myself, producing, directing, doing every job and editing it myself and doing everything. And it took me 3 years to do that. So my mom wanted me to interview Elaine, who is the subject of Little Bit, because Elaine is my grandma's cousin. And my mom was like, Elaine has such an interesting story. We really need to get her story on camera. And I was like, okay, let's just go get my grandma's cousin's story on camera. Like, what are we going to do with that? And so we loaded up, my partner and I, who was working with me at the time, we loaded everything up and went over to Elaine's house, and we shot a really nice 2-camera setup interview with her. Just to get it. We had no idea what to do with it. But my mom was with us too. And I was interviewing Elaine, and then my mom was chiming in like from the side, like, Elaine, didn't you have a story about something? I'm like, so we just kind of did the interview, but we didn't know what it was going to be. So I had the interview. I kept working on other things. And then, because it's been a couple years since we shot that interview. And then for a while I was talking with Levi Agee, who did the animations. But before we decided to do animations, we were talking about trying to pitch it as a segment for Homegrown on Arkansas PBS because he worked at PBS at the time. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. I've just got this interview, and I showed him like a sizzle that I had put together of just the interview and the B-roll that we had. And he suggested that we do some animations because she talks about so many historic things that we don't have footage of. He was like, I really think that would make like up the engagement factor quite a bit. And I kind of didn't see the vision at first for that, but I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. Then I looked at some other animations he did that were super, super cool. And then I started to kind of see it, and I was like, okay. But then we still didn't do it. And then like a while later, I was like, look, let's just get this finished. Do you want to do animations for a little bit? And let's just get it done and just submit it to Hot Springs, just to have something to submit to Hot Springs. And then he did the animations, and it turned out amazing. And then I was like, well, now I need some cool music. And then I got in touch with this group who are friends of mine from North Carolina that do kind of folksy, like banjo type of music. And they did one original piece of music that I used in the whole thing. And then we had something, and it just started out as just, let's get my grandma's cousin's story. And then it turned out it was cool. And then it got into Hot Springs, and we premiered it there. And then I was like, all right, now we got something.
That's incredible. And I mean, Hot Springs is Hot Springs, and it's just yeah, that's just amazing. And it's really fascinating too to hear, because you hear people all the time like, hey, look, I got this idea. And you hear it when you hear it a lot, especially if you tell somebody like, well, I make movies, or I do that. People are like, I got this idea, and I got this cousin who's really funny.
Yeah,
and they would be really good. And I'm like, well, that isn't really how it doesn't work that way, But
everybody's got an idea.
They do.
So you have to choose like what you're going to follow, and what you're going to do. And even then, like it's multiple steps, of things that have to be done and layers that have to be added. And so that took us a couple years, to even get it to this point. It was just sitting on my hard drive collecting dust for probably 2 years. Yeah.
I'm glad you finished it. And
Me too.
I'm glad you submitted it.
And people love it. Like watching it with an audience, people love it. And when we premiered it at Hot Springs, Elaine was there, and people were asking her for her autograph.
That's incredible. That is really incredible.
Yeah, she's a character.
And I'm really, really excited that you submitted it. It's in a really stacked block of. We didn't get a whole lot of documentaries this year. Last year we were like, okay, settle down, everybody. This year we got enough. We got enough. And that block is such a great block, and it's screening at 5 p.m. Okay, I had to do the math here. It's been a long week. 5 p.m. on Saturday, May the 17th at Ron Robinson Theater.
I'll be there.
And Raiden's going to be there. And I'm so excited. But I know we only got a couple of minutes left here, but what are you doing now? What's coming up? What's next for Raiden?
Well, I'm teaching my acting class with Arkansas Cinema Society and the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts. And the current session is going to be ending on May 28th. And then we're going to do another session in the fall. It's been a very popular class. And I'm teaching kind of the things that I learned in my training in New York. But it's also based on, I don't know, I got my own twist on it for sure. So that's been keeping me really busy. And then I'm in pre-production on my next film, which is a Louisiana Film Prize short. Mm-hmm. And I went to that festival last year to see kind of what they're doing. And I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm going to make a film for this. So it's a bit challenging because a lot of the people that make films for the contest live in Shreveport. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the same people make films for the contest year after year, and they have a really well-oiled machine and a system in place. And I'm coming in as an outsider, trying to assemble my whole crew and get my locations. And it's very challenging in a different way than just making my films here, where I'm working with my friends and locations that I'm familiar with and that I have connections with. But it's a really powerful story. It's called I Love You This Much. And I'm going to be in it. And Barry Clifton is going to be in it. And we're going to be shooting on right after the festival.
Right after the festival.
In Shreveport.
That's amazing. I think Eric White has done Louisiana Film Prize. I think he had worked with Jared, who got me back down here. I was talking with Paula earlier about that. What got me back to Central Arkansas. And but Eric, I think he did Louisiana Film Prize one year. They made it in top 20.
Are we talking about Eric that I was just talking to for 20 minutes and yes. I told him I'm making a film for Louisiana Film Prize because he didn't mention anything about that?
Eric White. Yes.
Well, I'm going to ask him when I walk out of here if he's hoarding information.
He is, yes. And I think it was through Jared Beck. Jared's an old friend of ours, and Eric and Jared are two filmmakers who I sponged off of for years. And
you sponged?
Oh, yeah. When it comes to making films, Eric is one of those guys, and he's been gracious enough to actually come and edit some projects, shoot some projects of mine. So he's just one of those guys that I'm just like when Jared and Eric. So when Eric shot things for me, he's so good that he'll you want to take a look at it? I'm like, I trust you. That's just how he is.
That's nice.
Yeah. He's and Jordan Mears is a part of that group too.
Yeah, I have to brag on Jordan Mears for 1 second because he shot my film last summer in Hot Springs that has not come out yet. It's called The Hollow. And he was so pleasant to work with. I've never met somebody who's so unbothered by an extremely stressful situation, which is making a film. He did not get or at least he didn't show it. If he was ruffled, I could not tell. He was just completely calm, cool, whatever we needed. He was ready to do it. And it was hard because we were shooting kind of a lot of verite style, documentary style almost. Yeah. A lot of unplanned shots and improvised performances from me and Quinn Gassaway. And he was right there with it, keeping up. And I had looked at some other people to shoot it, and they did not understand that, or they didn't feel they could work that way. Mm-hmm. And Jordan stepped up to the challenge, and we got it done. Actually, Eric asked me how the film turned out, and I said, perfect. I wouldn't change anything about it. I think it turned out perfect, exactly the way I wanted it to. And he was like, really? That's unusual. I was like, yep, I'm completely serious. I think it's perfect. For what I wanted, it's perfect.
Now Jordan's incredible. He's an old friend too. We text all the time.
Oh, you text?
Oh yeah, yeah. Jordan will text and we'll ramble about things quite a bit. He's at Rogers over the weekend too, and he's edited. Whoop! I'm losing my phone. He edited. Okay, so here's our connection with all these guys. So back in 2011, we did a 48-hour film called Sensitivity Training. Dwayne Jackson starred in it. Quinn Gassaway was in it. Eric White shot it. And Jordan Mears edited. I mean, we all go back. So we're like, if there's anything that we're like, hey, are you guys free? Would you guys come? You know, we try to, and they're all just incredible. They're all so good. And Jordan is just, he's just one of those guys. Have you seen New West?
I've seen it. I saw it at the Made in Arkansas Film Festival.
He had pulled
It's different
in,
from the Rock City Film Festival.
Yeah. It was yeah. Still got the same colors, but I had to show some merch there.
Slightly different.
What's up there too? I'm glad you took the time to come hang out in that Kubrick shirt. It's fantastic. But I was going to say didn't really get much time, but I wanted to. We didn't get much time, but you're a fan of film. You love.
I'm a cinephile, certified.
You're a cinephile, and that's where like I wanted to talk, and we didn't get there, but we've this is going to stay. So, talking to people about getting into filmmaking, people ask me like, why do you do this? Because I love movies. I love everything about it. I want to be a part of it. It's not easy. It hurts. It will make you cry. It will make you laugh. It will make you just fill you with joy. But it's something I can't see myself doing anything else. Whether it's got to be something creative, like what we talked about, like editing or whatever. I'm an editor now, but yeah, I just love cinema. And in your class, listening to you talk about film like you do, it really like enhances that experience for me because it's like you get it, you know it, you love it, and so it makes a difference.
That's all true. Well, I kind of take for granted that everybody that's interested in acting, at least, like loves watching movies as much as I do and knows as much about movies as I do. And all the people that I talk to who like on a daily basis are the same way as me. So going into class, like, because we're in our 4th session now, and in the previous sessions, I kind of figured out that not everybody in class that's interested in acting is necessarily watched all these movies that to me, like, obviously everybody's seen this movie. Yeah. But then again, I hate when people do that to me and they're like, haven't you seen something? And I'm like, look, I haven't seen every movie. Yeah. Like, be realistic. I haven't seen every movie. Yeah. I have seen every Bergman film because I have the Criterion Collection 30 disc set. And it took me 3 years to watch all the Bergmans. But, I do really care about it. And I think that there's a lot to learn from cinema. And that's kind of why I'm interested. I mean, I'm a writer, I'm a director, I'm an editor, I'm a producer, but I have something that I want to say, like that's what compels me is that I have something that I have to express through this medium. I can't paint a painting of it. It wouldn't make sense if I did. It's got to be a movie. And it is really hard. You have to really want to do it. Yeah. And pre-production, honestly, which is where I am right now, is like, it's the worst part. On set is fun, but it's stressful. Yeah. And then post-production's like cool. Like I'm just editing now. I'm like alone in my room, just like nobody's bothering me or like asking me questions. Like
I can just do this.
I can sit in my cave in the dark. Like I love that. Like just sitting in the dark and editing and like putting things together in like a way that it looks cool and it feels right. That's really fun to me. But the pre-production, like putting things together logistically, that's not like your creative mind doesn't enjoy that. It's very stressful.
I agree. I like ideas. Like I got the great ideas, but it's like but I got to write it, and then I got to pull a crew together. And is everybody free this weekend?
Oh my God. Don't even get me started on is everybody free this weekend. I've been texting people when I started this. I'm like, hey, are you available? Hey, are you available? No, you're not available. Oh, you're going to be at a wedding. Oh, you're going to be oh my God. I almost lost it at that moment. And then I realized I got to just choose the dates. And then whoever's there, that's who we're working
good.
with. Yeah.
It's funny because Carrie and I, when we were doing book club February, we had a lockdown July. So we had to make sure everybody was ready July. So we set a July date, and we're like, we're all good. Everybody's good because it was the crew we wanted. Everybody. We didn't want to and we had actually one of the actresses originally that we cast is Demetria. She had to drop out and do a play at Murray's, and so I was like, oh. Yeah, we can't. We're good. Everybody's locked into this date. So,
but you also have to, no matter what, you have to have a certain amount of luck from the cinema gods, like on your side, because regardless, like anything could happen at any time. You know, like your location could burn down like the night before. You never know what could happen.
Yeah,
that's what makes it a great adventure.
Yes, and I think that's where the 48-hour film project had come in handy over the years because I did 48 before I did films outside of school or at school, and problem solving, no problem. Like I have a backup and I'm ready to go. Anything and everything. If somebody says, we can't do this, no, we can do that. Trust me, we've done it before. So if I'm on a set and I see people starting to the house is burning, we're good, we're good. I promise you, I've done this in 2 days. And actually, I think book club we shot in 2 days. Devil Made Me Do It we did in 2 days. Ladies Night we did in 2 days. So all the movies I've made has not went over 3 days.
The one I'm about to do, 2 days.
Perfect. So you're good. Success all the way.
Well, I was thinking it was going to be really hard to shoot my film in 2 days. And I was like really stressing out about it. Like, we're going to have to really go. We're only going to be able to do a couple takes. I've been rehearsing, with the other actors, which I just wanted to do anyway, because I want everyone to be super, super prepared when we get there. Mm-hmm. But then I talked to my first AD today for the first time. And he was like, oh, I don't think you're going to have any problem shooting this in 2 days. And I was like, oh, cool. I've just been super stressed about that in particular for, I guess, no reason. Yeah. Which is good.
No, if you're prepared, if you're rehearsing, I love that. Ben and I did that back in the day. We rehearsed for Sacred Ground back in 2011, and we did that for 2 or 3 weeks, and I had not done that since. Not every film that I had been on, I had not done that since. Most
people don't do it at this level, you're not doing a Paul Thomas Anderson, Joaquin Phoenix type of relationship, if you're doing a 2-day shoot. Most people don't put in that type of work, but I don't think it hurts.
It doesn't hurt, and I'm all about it, and I would do it. If anybody said, hey, we're going to rehearse, let's do it. I'm in. So yes, yeah, I'm excited for you. I can't wait. And yeah, so I guess on that note, Raiden, thank you for hanging out again. And
thanks for having me.
This is our second time doing this, maybe? I don't know. I can't remember. But thank you for coming in and chatting with me and all that fun stuff. And thank you for submitting your film to the festival. And
thank you. I'm looking forward to coming.
Absolutely. And everybody, so Raiden's film, Little Bit, is going to be screening May 17th at 5 p.m. in the True Grit Soft Edges block at the, I was going to say Made in Arkansas Film Festival. No, at the Rock City Film Festival. See, I'm still working on it. It's our first year. Have to give me some grace.
Great logo.
Thank you. Carrie, this is all Carrie.
Carrie made that?
Carrie made this.
I really like it.
Thank you. Well, you'll get one of these too. Everybody gets one. All righty. And so please come to the festival. And all right. I guess until the next time we see you, we'll see you then.
I had always worked in warehouses and computer rooms, and I was really bored doing that. I wanted to do something else. And then a friend of mine called me later. All my friends knew I wanted to do something else, and she said, how would you like to be an oiler on a crane? And I'm going, what's a crane? I went out to the, it was the bridge on 540, and went out there and crawled up on the crane, and this operator said, well, hello, Little Bit. So that name just stuck.